Thank you, Luca, for your valuable and interesting insights that will hopefully serve all of you well as you do your strategic planning for the next years to come. Just as a reminder, if you do want to ask questions to our panelists, if you go to the main screen of your iPad, the lower left-hand corner, there's a little icon called Ask, and you can ask a question of the panelists at any time. So feel free to use that function. Now I invite our next group of panelists and our moderator to join, to head to the stage. Our next panel is Strong Heritage Brands, Artisans, Ateliers, and Métiers, which is moderated by Simon Nyeck. Simon is the head of the International Luxury Brand Management MBA and the Center of Excellence in Luxury, Arts, and Culture at the ESSEC Business School in Paris. He is joined by Alain Bernard, President and CEO of Van Cleef and Arpels America, Alex Bolen, Chief Executive Officer of Oscar de la Renta, Tina Edmundson, Global Officer of Luxury and Lifestyle Brands from Marriott International, Trent Fraser, Vice President Dom Pérignon, LVMH Wines and Spirits, Jim Shreve, President of Baccarat USA, and Olivier Stip, Senior Vice President, Fine Jewelry and Watches from Chanel USA. Please join me in welcoming our panel and moderator.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Again, thank you for hosting us today. We have honor and a lot of pressure to start this panel. To reflect on what we did learn from Luca, just wanted to say 2-3 things. Today, we have something which is managing paradox. For most strong heritage brands who have been for centuries almost, for some of them, making us dream. Luca talked about desirability. Making us dream based on the power, the prestige, the history. The challenge today is how do they keep in touch with new consumer, with millennials, while keeping this tradition. Again, to go back to ancient language, usually what we mean by tradition is tradare, right? Doing the same exact thing. My question to you, I'll start with the audience. As we said that what makes people dream with strong heritage brand is the relationship with this power, kings, elitism. My question to you is, what do you think about the sacred icon, which are this strong brand? Do you think that in order for them to keep the desire with millennials who are a little bit more into democratization, is it a huge challenge? Oh my God. It seems, actually, wow. Okay, guys, you have a tough job. My understanding is we have a lot of educated consumer. We have new consumer, Chinese, who are very into digital. How do you make sure that you make them dream? Before starting, I have one last question for you. What would be one word describing exclusivity for you guys? Wow. Getting that. Unique. Authenticity. We see a lot of interesting things coming.
Customized, authentic, unique.
Honest.
Special.
Craft. Scarcity. Value. Authenticity. Well, I'm a little bit surprised. Are you?
Is there a way for us to get the iPad to work up here? Okay, thank you. Well done.
Are you surprised? We're talking about authenticity. we're talking about limited, customized. I'm a little bit surprised because I don't see something related to power or to the king. Now, I want you to reflect on these few words. I will start actually with Trent. Trent is VP Dom Pérignon, LVMH Wine and Spirits. Why are we starting with Trent? Because his history is linked to a monk going back to 1668 with the Castle of Versailles under King Louis XIV. So he got the honor to shout first. My question to you is, Trent, you've been linked to the history of a great king. So Pierre Pérignon, the great monk, was basically selling this idea. My question to you is, how do you connect with new consumer today? What we call the millennial, the new consumer, who may not be interested anymore into the royal court society anymore. How do you create disability? How do you express it with the new consumer?
Thank you. Is this one on? Can you hear me okay? Thanks, Simon. Good morning, everybody. It is a good one. That first poll, I think, was very intriguing for me to see that. It's not that surprising, but I think one of the most important things to answer your question most directly with one word would be desirability. It's the most important thing for us, and it's not just in terms of millennials.
Okay.
It's for everyone, but especially with obviously the new generations coming through. We have an amazing history, and one of my greatest fears or challenges when I joined the group, or Dom Pérignon specifically many years ago, was this great history and tradition is fantastic and the story needs to be told, but sometimes with that can come a consumer perception of old and stodgy, dusty, potentially even a perception of, oh, that was my grandfather's drink or my grandmother's drink, and that was my greatest fear.
Okay.
So we did need to tell this amazing story, which we had in terms of the knowledge and the education. And Dom Pierre Pérignon was a monk and a person and a great winemaker of that. A lot of people don't know. Was making it for the court of Louis XIV. But he was the original creator of champagne, which is absolutely phenomenal. He put bubbles into wine. Modern method winemaking techniques are still used from this tradition back then. But telling that story today is quite difficult and can sometimes be a little bit boring. So we really need to bring it to life. And in doing that, particularly in modern terms, with these new consumers you mentioned, is most important. So being the original creator, we bring it to life through a platform called the Power of Creation. So each time we make a champagne, it's a vintage-only champagne. We don't make it every year, but it's when we declare a vintage, we celebrate this fact. So we can bring that to life through a very broad spectrum, in a way. So give me an instance. So Lenny Kravitz is to music, Bill Gates is to technology, Thomas Keller to cuisine, Jeff Koons is to art. You might have seen some of these things that we've done, and we've celebrated it through a lifestyle platform like that.
Okay.
So that's one of the great things. So you might have seen some of the works that we've done with the Andy Warhol Foundation, Iris Van Herpen, David Lynch, or Jeff Koons, really bringing sort of a fun, edgy, relevant, and modern terms sort of approach to it, and that's kind of how we overcome that.
Thank you. I would like now to move pretty quickly to Jim. Jim Shreve is President USA Baccarat. The funny thing about Baccarat is established 1764 and officially 1816 as a Maison of Cristal by King Louis XV, and became a powerhouse during the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century. My question to you, Jim, is almost in the same vein. How do you make new consumer dream today, talking about a brand which were basically rooted into 19th century values, which may not be shared today by millennials? How do you make it protect this great heritage and make it sexy?
Well, if Trent worked for his grandfather's wine company, I work for my grandmother's crystal company. So we're trying to evolve this perception. I think, first of all, Simon, through all generations, there's been a desirability for luxury, quality, authenticity. So while, as a general rule, millennials may not have this, I think there's still a good portion that do have this.
Okay.
We have strong values of history and quality, and Baccarat has been around for 252 years. We consider ourselves a house of modernity. The manufacturing process of Baccarat has not changed at all for 250 years. The factory is the same factory, the processes are the same. The planning and design has evolved. We celebrate our heritage. There's a school in the area that is full and people are trained for the crystal making. And there's an award in France awarded by the Meilleur Ouvert de France, which recognizes the most highly crafted, the most highly skilled craftsmanship in certain industries. Baccarat has the most MOFs of any company in all of France. Okay, that's all nice, that's our heritage, but how do we evolve this? So I joined the company recently, and I've been a Baccarat customer for many years. And when I entered, we had a new marketing campaign and a new item called Everyday Baccarat. It's nice, Everyday Baccarat, it has a nice ring to it. I've been a Baccarat customer for 20 years, and my Baccarat is beautiful, it's displayed in my apartment. I use it for holidays or dinner parties. But then I was walking home on my first day saying, why don't I use this every day? We have Everyday Baccarat. I have shoes on, we all have designer shoes, we all have designer handbags, we all have beautiful watches, we have golf clubs if you're a golfer, you use Rimowa luggage, which you spend a lot of money on, and all that costs a lot more than one glass of Baccarat. One glass of Baccarat can start at $120. Our shoes are $1,000, our bags can be $3,000. Our customers walking in with their Hermes bag, it's $3,000 or $4,000, and we're afraid to chip our glass, so we don't use it. But look at the bottom of my shoes. Look at my watch with all the scratches. It costs a lot more than $100. From that day, I started using my Baccarat every day for my water, for my orange juice. And we have been telling the story now, make this package of Everyday Baccarat, which is 6 tumblers that we sell, in a box with a pamphlet called Everyday Baccarat, to use it every day. So many of us put our shoes on to feel good when we get dressed. And we walk out and we're feeling confident, we grab our bag, we put our watch on. I say start your day earlier by drinking your orange juice out of a Baccarat glass. It tastes better. The music, everything tastes better in Baccarat. The music of an ice cube clinging to the crystal glass when you're home at night, having a scotch, having a glass of water, it's more beautiful and very romantic and sexy. And your day can continue, the luxury can continue at home, so it starts earlier and lasts longer. And this is our focus in all of our stores, and we're executing this in wholesale as well.
What I like with your story, Jim, is you basically illustrating the fact that we are moving from possession to experience. And that's exactly what you've been telling us for a while. But I will come back to this point a little bit later. I would like Olivier Stip from Chanel to share his view with us. Olivier Stip is Senior VP Fine Jewelry and Watches, Chanel USA. Dear Olivier, Chanel is known for style, and Coco was saying, quote, fashion goes and style stays or remain. Along on the same line of what we've been doing, heritage and innovation. How do you make sure that this style, which was supposed to be the same, is going to speak to today's consumers?
Well, I would say that when I joined Chanel, there is something that struck me is, and that's going to answer your question, is that the tradition of Chanel as a heritage brand has been supported and carried by Mademoiselle Chanel when she was alive through one word for me which is interesting, which is disruption, and always trying to find what is the right balance between the creation for the sake of the creation and the creation for a use for the customer. And I think that's what carries the brand still today. So this idea of disruption that Karl Lagerfeld, following Mademoiselle Chanel, has always used in everything that he does, staying true to the codes of the brand, stylistically speaking, but trying to push them further. And one other aspect that has been very important for Chanel is the way the products, the creations of the brand are put into a different light each time that there is an important moment at the brand. And the most important moments are the fashion shows. And what is more surprising than finding Chanel new collection featured under the roof of the Grand Palais, but in a Chanel supermarket. So that's where you see the product, you see the brand in a completely different environment, and you say, well, this is innovation, this is still tradition, but this is a brand that lives with its own time. And I think that's one of the most important part of what I see. The last part that probably has been very special about Chanel is this ability to cover so many different product segments and applying this same spirit that was the spirit of the brand, and the fact that you can find a Chanel product in fragrance and beauty as aspirational as a Chanel handbag is also what makes it resonate with all kinds of clients and the millennials in particular.
I like your comment on disruption, which is a little bit provocative. But again, to me, I'll get back to this point a little bit later. But let's stay in fashion. And I would like now to invite Alex Bolen, CEO of Scar de la Renta, to talk about this iconic US brand known for dressing first ladies and starting in 1965. So can you explain how you rejuvenate your brand to speak to consumer nowadays when the glossy glam may not be and the power may not be top of a priority?
Well, I guess if we've got your grandmother's drink and your grandmother's crystal, we also might have your grandmother's fashion brand. We are very happy to have grandmothers as our customers. Grandmothers have a lot of money. And a core part of our mission is to make sure that our well-dressed grandmothers remain very happy with what we're doing. An equally important part of our mission is to engage more often mothers and granddaughters in what we're doing. You know, I think the challenge for our brand is the challenge for any brand, not unique to luxury or to fashion, which is to continue to evolve based on the environment. We need to evolve around a core set of standards, of principles, and those principles should remain unchanged. But the way that those values are expressed changes as our environment changes. Helpfully, we have a fashion show every few months where we can tell the world what we think is relevant to our customer and her life today. This is what we've always done, and this is what we continue to do. We need to make our brand more relevant to more people at all times. At the same time, we need to keep our existing customers extremely happy.
Okay. Thank you very much. We talk about great fashion brand. I would like to now invite someone who's going to talk a little bit more about jewelry. I would like to invite Alain Bernard, which is President and CEO of Van Cleef & Arpels Americas. My question to you is a little bit more different, but at the same time on tone with, is it easy to express brand desirability based on savoir-faire and the love affair? Is it easier to connect with today's consumer because you add this touch of love in your brand, in your story?
So the question is whether love is still in the air, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so I will try to answer that one. But to talk about grandmother, I think my role is to prove that 110 years old Parisian lady born on Place Vendôme can still be desired. The good news is yes, very much so. And talking about heritage and talking about the stories that we have, I think heritage has never been so important these days, and heritage makes the whole difference. we believe, and that's been again proven by Luca in his introduction and by Elsa, that we are in a world of high volatility and uncertainty, a world which is very difficult to understand and anticipate. And everybody's looking for marks and references, and heritage brings these references. And whatever the generation. So the question about the millennials and the new generations, for us, is obviously a valid question. It's a 85 million American millennials question, so it's a 30% question because in 2020, 30% of American retail consumption will be with millennials, so obviously it's an interesting one. Okay. But I don't believe that millennials are so different from all of us here. There are a few millennials here, but millennials are not so much different from, ourselves and our grandmothers. Yes, of course, they are consuming differently. Their relation to the brands are different. Mm-hmm. They don't trust the brands the same way. Their relation to time is different. Their relation to technology is different. I had a dinner a month ago in Vancouver for a boutique opening. 30, 25 years old client, ladies, Canadian-born Chinese. We spent the whole evening on Instagram, which was fantastic, but it's kind of frustrating sometimes. You present your collection and all your collections are actually taken into pictures and then shared with the community. That's the way it is. But at the same time, the millennials, like any generation, they're looking the same thing. They're looking for quality, they are looking for experience, they are looking for singularity, they are looking for love and poetry and beautiful stories. And they are looking for value and sustainable value. And what heritage can bring is this value. When you have a proven track record that you've been here for a long time, your stories make sense, they are relevant, and when you acquire a piece of Van Cleef & Arpels, by the way, you can say Van Cleef and Van Cleef, that's fine. You acquire a piece of Van Cleef & Arpels today, your piece or your collection will be part of the history in 10 years, 15 years, 100 years down the road. Mm-hmm. So what do? I guess we do what everybody's doing, or we try to do it the best way possible, which is we do our work the best way possible. We don't change anything. We have one métier, which is high jewelry, and by extension, high watchmaking. We've been doing it for 110 years in the world, since 1939 in the US. We have a specific know-how, we have a singularity, we have a specific signature and style. We are very exclusive. We have beautiful stories. What changes is the way we tell those stories and the tools that we use. Obviously, we are on any social media. We don't shout on social media, we just whisper, because millennials don't want to be shouted at. They just want to see your content, your resources, and play with it and share it. And the more you shout, probably the less you are trusted. And we organize exhibitions, and exhibitions are fantastic ways to talk about your heritage. And there's a big difference, and maybe we'll come back to that, between between exhibitions and museums. And we educate, and we educate a lot. And we have created a school which is called L'École Van Cleef & Arpels. That's our new baby. It's in Paris, on Place Vendôme. Open to public. You can register on your, maybe, I don't know if you can register on this iPad, but I can provide other iPads if you want. And that's a school where you learn about the world of high jewelry. It's open to everyone, and we have a lot of millennials coming to that school.
And they are interested in learning about all this new experience.
Absolutely.
Great. Again, one thing, I'm pretty sure that you guys did notice. Everybody keep talking about experience. We keep talking about love. We keep talking about emotion. That would be, to me, my keyword of this morning. But so far, we've been talking about heritage, strong brand with product. Usually, we talk about timeless product. What we didn't approach is the idea of a service. And I would like to invite Edmundson, Global Officer of Luxury and Lifestyle brand Marriott International, to share her view from a Ritz-Carlton perspective. My question to you, Tina, is when we talk about the word timeless, is it relevant for service? and how do you express this heritage in the service, and how do you make young consumer, new consumer, millennials, whatever you want to call them, dream about your brand?
So at Ritz-Carlton, we absolutely believe that exceptional service is timeless. It never goes out of style.
Okay.
Now, what that actually means, and you've heard from all of the panelists here, continues to evolve. And we are very focused on keeping the customer, our guest, sort of at the center of our world. And so we continue to evolve to make sure that we are meeting their wants, their needs, and their desires as those change. Today, we're going to talk a lot about the changing landscape. We'll talk about technology, we'll talk about experiences and authenticity. But even beyond that, for Ritz-Carlton and for Marriott International, we're really focused on cultural influences and how the cultural influences actually shape and change our businesses and our services that we offer. And importantly, we've actually developed a council. We call it the Marriott International Luxury and Lifestyle Council, which is a forum where we invite important voices in fashion, in media, in entertainment, in technology, so that we can learn and we can understand and be educated about what is going on in these businesses that are so important and influence our business, influence what our customers are expecting, and therefore prepares us really for tomorrow. When we talk about what is important for this millennial customer, it is all the things that you talked about. It is authenticity. It is about the experience. We are in the enviable position, I think, of being able to actually deliver on these experiences, of being able to connect with our guests on an emotional level. We have the advantage of, rather than having them in the store for 30 minutes, we have them in our hotels, in our homes, if you will, for 48 hours or for a week if they're on vacation. So we are in the position where we're able to actually customize and personalize that experience specifically for them.
Well, what we've been hearing so far is this great brand actually are participating a lot. Let's call them citizen in a way, giving back to community, working with schools, educating, connecting with people. So my question to the audience will then be, all these great brands, they do a lot of things, could call it for marketing, to survive, to preserve the industry, or just to educate people and share the savoir-faire. Should heritage brand communicate very clearly in a very explicit way when they want to connect with you? When you do good, should you yell about it? In case you didn't realize,
There we go.
well, I got almost 70%, which is something talking a lot to me. I have one specific idea concerning this. Maybe in the audience, even if we're talking about French and American brand, maybe we are a little bit more very Protestant. It seems to me that when you go back to the Catholic, Roman Catholic view of things, when you do good, you don't talk about it. And obviously, in this part of the world, when you do good, you're proud. You talk about it. I will give you another chance in the audience. I want to know something. We heard about a lot of great brands doing great things. And the heritage is strong because they rely on a savoir-faire, specific expertise, or maybe because they identify to a specific character, celebrity, country of origin, date of foundation. My question to you is, which dimension this heritage brand should use today in order to connect with the new consumer and keep the desirability going on. It's great. I mean, we had a specific owner this morning to start with this. To me, it says something which is very, very important. And someone said it, expertise and savoir-faire would always be there. And I realized something, which is to say that at the end of the day, a strong heritage brand got a lot of dimension. And listening to you, what you're telling me is you have to reinvent yourself in the case of picking which dimension in your heritage would be more relevant to today's consumer. But obviously, you have it. I would like to move on to the second chapter, which is a lot of interesting thing talking about paradox. How do you manage creativity and innovation when my name is heritage, strong brand? I would like to start with Baccarat again. How do you foster innovation while staying true to the essence of the brand? How do you manage ecosystem?
So we've had a lot of innovation since the beginning. Baccarat was the first crystal brand to invent colored crystal. We were the first to make crystal perfume bottles, and at its peak we were making 4,000 perfume bottles a day. We introduced jewelry in the 90s. 10 years ago, we opened up a bar in Tokyo that's called the B Bar. The concept of the B Bar is you don't only go into the bar and order a drink, but you order the glass in which you want your drink served, which is an innovative way to go to a bar. Last year, we opened up the Baccarat Hotel here in New York. And 2 years ago, we produced our largest chandelier in our history, which weighed over 2 tons. After George Chevalier retired in the early 70s, we've made many, many collaborations. Philip Stark is probably the most famous. We have Marcel Vanders, we have Eric Levy, and we have Jan Carsal. And we never limit the artists that come in for collaboration. They appreciate our history and our heritage, and we let them do, in the spirit of Baccarat, what they are feeling, and our customers have great response to that.
I noticed something. We keep calling you strong heritage brand, all of you guys, but which is funny is all of you keep referring to innovation, disruption. Someone even said disruptive. It means at the end of the day, you are much more innovative, and we keep calling you heritage. I would like to turn to Dom Pérignon, trying to understand how you manage the process of dealing with technology, how you manage the process of passing the knowledge. Let me be very clear on this. When you're doing great wine, usually you take care of the weather, the sun. That's something which is in your head. How do you transmit this knowledge of making great wine? How do you innovate then? Because you said Dom Pérignon start as innovator, creating something new in the winemaking.
So first of all, it's great to see the panel and the results up here. It's very encouraging to see in terms of savoir-faire. But first, I think the quick answer is balance between savoir-faire and also, obviously, the winemaking techniques. Most importantly, so balance. When it comes to technology, I think all of us in this room can agree that technology has played a huge role in terms of impacting our lives for the better, mostly for the better. And you would be mad not to exploit and take advantage of the technologies available to you today. And we certainly do that, coming from a winemaking background myself, as we utilize all these tools to us to do better in the vineyard than we did yesterday. And we are taking advantage of that, which is phenomenal. It really starts in the vineyard with the vines and obviously being better to work with the climate, the terroir of the region of Epernay and Reims to make better grapes of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir to put into our, obviously, Dom Pérignon. Then as you turn to savoir-faire, I think is when you really strip it back to the rawness and probably the romanticism of the wine industry, it's something that can never be replaced in terms of winemaking, and that's the most important thing. So our winemaker and chef de cave, Richard Geoffroy, we're celebrating his 26th vintage. He started in 1990, a great vintage for anyone out there who's a wine geek like me. we're celebrating 26 years of this man at the helm. And he references different vintages. He'll be like, oh, in the 2002, it's coming like that. Or the winds, or the frost, or the summer, or the harvest, the 1996 vintage. And that knowledge can never be replaced by anything. And that is relayed right through our entire winemaking team. Vincent Chaperon is his 2IC, he's the heir to the throne, if you like. He's been there 16 years, and he's been learning almost like an apprentice from Rochard. And then the dozens of winemakers underneath them. So I think it's really about that sharing that can never be replaced. The education, the knowledge, it's quite phenomenal. And it's really almost like the storytelling, all the family secrets that are being passed down generation through generation.
On that note, actually, I'll give you all the fashion.
I was just going to say, if I understand you correctly, you seem to be putting heritage and innovation as sort of opposed ideas, and if that's accurate, I disagree. I think that if we are heritage brands, that means that we've stood the test of time, and we've stood the test of time because we have a tradition of successfully innovating. I think that, hope nobody's listening too closely, luxury brands, we don't make things that are required to sustain life. Luca said discretionary expenditures. Sadly, we don't cure dread diseases. We have to figure out ways to fulfill people's dreams, to make them fall in love. And this requires successful innovation. And I think innovative companies ought to aspire to become heritage brands, because their status as a heritage brand would reflect a tradition of successful innovation.
Alex is just stealing my conclusion. I mean,
sorry, I haven't seen your conclusion, so I apologize if I have.
We all agree, because I've been seeing this. Everybody talking about disruptive. Actually, it's a misperception. Actually, heritage brands are very innovative. But before going into this, I wanted to let the second fashion brand talk about how do you manage the designer, who is supposed to be creative, fast forward moving, and artisan, who are usually relying on tradition in a way. How do you mix this to remain innovative at the end of the day?
Well, I'd like to join what you were saying, because I think I completely agree. I mean, our brands, since they are heritage brands, they are the best place to be innovative. And the same way, we cannot oppose craftsmanship to creativity. And that's what I see in the world of Chanel is that there is completely free reins and autonomy given to the designer. And that's the key. I come from a background where marketing is very prevalent, and Alain and I come from the same background. That's great, but when it comes to creativity, you need to let the designer lead the show, and then you see how the natural blend with the craftsmanship happens. Because it would be, and I just want to make sure that the audience doesn't think that people who are in those workshops doing embroidery, doing jewelry are 100 years old. There are certainly generations of jewelers, generations of embroiderers, but they are super excited and they are craving for challenges given by the creators. And that's what really makes our industry innovative. And for me, I mean, I'm privileged that Chanel has this group of craftsmen workshops that have been step by step protected by Chanel, people in the embroidery, milliners, people who do all those kind of things that the entire industry is using. And those people are really, really talented, and they are really, really ready to innovate. So I think when the creator comes first and the marketing follows just to do the orchestration, That's how you can create the blend, the innovation, and communicate in the proper way to the new generations.
Maybe you want to comment on the way you manage creativity and savoir-faire. And plus you have a little button if you want to show your slides.
I'm not sure I know how to do that.
Oh,
so I'm sure that
Okay.
they can see them later.
Yeah,
With regards to creativity, I think that it comes very simply from a realization that creativity, our ideas, are really all that we have. You know, with great product, we will be successful. Without it, we will fail. I think that, you know, bricks and mortar, digital, international, Americas, euros, dollars, it's all a bunch of detail without great product. And I think that this is the lifeblood of our company. It's front and center. It is the most important thing and, you know, perhaps the only thing.
Thank you. Now, let me go back to jewelry and ask you guys, how do you avoid to become a museum? How do you innovate when you Van Cleef and Arpels?
I'm going to take that one, I believe. And that's a great question. And that's a question that we have every day. I mean, you know, museum exhibitions and, you know, how not to stay stuck in time. So here you have great example of creativity and innovation for Van Cleef & Arpels. You have examples of mystery selling, which is a technique which has been invented, you know, almost 90 years ago. And you have example of the most complicated and recent timepiece, which is here, which is called the Midnight Planetarium, which is probably one of the most complicated and innovative watch ever created, and that just been launched. So, you know, 90 years ago and today. How do we make sure that we don't go to museum and stay there? Actually, we go to museums. We organize exhibitions in museum. But the whole point for us is to make sure that, and to prove and to show that craftsmanship is a living art. It doesn't stay stuck in time. And you know, many people, many brands organize some exhibitions in museums where they show pieces at a certain time without any connection with what's happening now. And what we want to do and what we've been always doing is to show that connection between our heritage, our history, and our present. We need that heritage again. As we like to say, you know, the branches of a tree are never longer than the roots of the tree. So you need to have strong, deep, long roots before branching out. But the whole point for the exhibition is to show the connection between past and present, and to show the evolution in our creation. We have a know-how which is very singular and very recognizable, but it has evolved. And what we do today, every day, is inspired by what we've done before. And exhibitions show that.
I would like to conclude, because I'm afraid we're kind of running out of time. I would like to conclude with Tina, who is going to talk about reinventing the service to adapt just to new consumer, and talk a little bit about the importance of trust with the consumer. How do you innovate in the service?
So trust is a huge priority for us. In fact, at one of our leadership councils, a gentleman by the name of Joe McLaughlin, who is the director of MIT Age Space Labs, said that trust was at an all-time low. And so how do brands actually communicate in a way that really encourage trust, right? So at Ritz-Carlton, we don't try to control the message. We embrace the communication, right? And so for us, our campaigns are really talking about actual guest experiences. And it is a collection of stories, if you will. Stories that are authentic, stories that are real, that happen at our hotels, right? In 2014, we launched a social media influencer campaign called Your Memories, with #RC Memories. And again, it was a way to really aggregate what already existed on Twitter and social media, etc.?
I would like to finish with you guys. We've been talking a lot about experience, usage. We talk about love, emotion, and a lot of interesting things. My own understanding, trying to conclude on this, is actually we're going experiential branding, marketing, which put at the center of everything the word love. Love is about relating, understanding. You said consumer-centric. That's relation. Love is about being friend. Love is about being into sympathy, right? Suffering with others. So we're talking about the three dimensions of love. We talk about passion, eros. We talk about philia. We talk about agape. And that would be, to me, the way to conclude on this part of love. And asking the audience one last question. We've been talking about experience, relation. How is the importance of the store to relate with nowadays consumers? Is it same importance, less important, more important as in the past? Great. It's basically in line with what Luca told us. To me, and for heritage brand, I realize that the boutique, the store, is still the center of everything. We need our people to come and interact with us in order for us to show them love. And you said something, consumers are staying with you for days, and that's your main advantage. And that would be, to me, my concluding note, because we're really running out of time. Thank you very much.